Good morning. My name is Velma Nanka Bruce, and I am a friend of SAAACAM, which is the San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum. Today is Monday, October the 12th, 2020. We are recording an oral history for the archive at the temporary SAAACAM office housed within the B. Naylor Morton Center at 3737 Broadway in San Antonio, Texas. Let's get started by having you state your name and date of birth, please.
My name is Nelson Swain. I was born May 10th, 1947, in San Antonio, Texas. Yes.
Thank you. And please tell us your address.
My address is 2733 Christian Street on the San Antonio east side, San Antonio.
Okay, wonderful. And where were you born?
I was born in San Antonio, Texas. In fact, I was born on the east side on Carlos Street, which was really Dakota back in the day, but it changed it to Carlos Street in a house on Carlos Street. Yeah, so I was born originally on that street and on the east side. I'm an original east side.
Wonderful. And what were your parents' names?
My father was named Nelson Swain. My mother's name was Ollie Mae Galloway.
Okay, wonderful. And what kind of work did your parents do?
My father, he was self-employed. My mother, she was housekeeper, and she worked at Riley Middle School as a cook in the cafeteria.
Okay. And did you have sisters and brothers?
Yes, I had two sisters, Willie Mae Hopkins and Gloria Swain. And I had a brother named Elvis Swain, but he doesn't like that name, Elvis Swain. He likes to be called Duna. He was a paramedic for some 30 years for the San Antonio Fire Department.
Excellent. And what was it like when you were growing up?
Well, growing up back then on the east side it was almost like in the country back then. So we didn't have access to running water or gas or nothing like that. So my main job coming up was cutting wood, making sure we had wood for the stoves and everything, and making sure that I would get the water so we'd have water for the house. So it was like in the country. It was, hard, really, but we were very happy, Didn't want for anything because we kind of lived off the land.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. And do you remember neighbors or friends or?
Well, it wasn't many neighbors.
Okay.
I can remember that it was a tent on the other end of the block, and then it was just a few houses in between, but it wasn't many neighbors out there on the east side then. This was back in 1947, and it was just like the country, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about the schools you attended and what your experiences were there?
Yes, I attended Dora Miller Elementary School, and after Dora Miller, I stopped going to Dora Miller around in the 4th grade when they built Riley Elementary Middle School,
Mm-hmm.
and then I transferred to Riley. I went to Riley all the way through middle school. After I left Riley, I went to the old Wheatley, Phyllis Wheatley High School. And after I left Phyllis Wheatley High School, I went to St. Philip's Junior College.
Mm-hmm.
After I left St. Philip's, I went to St. Mary's University.
Okay. And what was it like going to St. Mary's at that time?
Well, I really didn't like it because, it was, I was used to going to school with predominantly black people. And with St. Mary's, it was really at the time, it was roughly 20, 19 or 20 blacks going to St. Mary's then. And the majority of them, half of us, were on the basketball team. So it was a different atmosphere there. You know, I didn't really like it that much. You know?
Okay. How were you treated by the school and
I
other
was
people?
treated good, you know, at schools like that with athletes. Most athletes was treated all right, you know, because they wanted you to perform on the basketball floor, I guess.
Yeah. Do you remember some of your other teammates' names?
Oh, yes, I very well. I was with Stan Bonowitch. I was with Snake LeGaines. I was with Jim Wayman. I was with Walter Essex, Charles Lemons. You know, it was quite a few. You know, Stan Bonowitch now, East Central. He has the gym named after him out there. Snake LeGaines. I don't know where Snake went. And had the leading scorer of St. Mary's, Doug Williams. He was on the team, you know. So it was, I remember quite a few of them. My buddy, his name was Ray Harvey. He was out of New York, and I just really enjoyed him. That was my running buddy, you know. We'd be walking, and he'd have to watch his knuckles because his arms are so long, they would drag the ground almost, you know.
Good times.
Yeah.
And when did you finish at St. Mary's?
I didn't finish in St. Mary's. I really stopped because I was on a basketball scholarship. I really wanted to play baseball. And I had got a rumor that since I was on a basketball scholarship, I wouldn't be able to play baseball. And I thought baseball was my best sport. But I don't know if the rumor was true or not, but me being young and, you know, ambitious, and I think I could just go and do this and do that some other time, you know, I decided to after basketball season, decided to just kind of quit and see if I could go somewhere where I could play basketball and baseball too. I had a kind of offer from Houston Tilliston that I could go there and play basketball and baseball, but I ended up getting a job at Frederick's Refrigeration, and I never did leave there. At 44 years later, I was still at Frederick's Refrigeration. So I didn't get to really finish my education because I really wanted to play baseball. You know? Yes.
So when did you start playing baseball as a kid?
As a kid, I started when I was roughly around 13 or 14 years old. Most of the kids in the neighborhood, they started in Little League, but I didn't start in Little League. I started in Pony League, and I didn't start like most of them up there at Lincoln Park, where all of the blacks were playing up in the league up there. I kind of wanted to venture out, and I went to Comanche Park. They had a league out there. I heard they had tryouts, so I wanted to go out there and try out there. And I have a picture here. I'll show you later that I was the oldest black on the team starting off, and then afterwards it was a young guy named, I think his name was Randall. He came on the team, but it was just two of us on the team, and we was kind of integrating that league out there at Comanche Park.
Do you recall the name of that league?
It was like the Southside Lions. I think it was Southside Lions. I'm not sure. I can't remember. You know, it's been a while.
Yeah. Okay. And then what else got you into baseball? What else did you do with baseball?
Well, after Comanche Park, I got a friend named Glenn Miller, and we had a guy that came to us, a man named Lonnie Blevins, and he wanted to start a team out there at Black Sox Stadium. So he got me and Glenn Miller. We was real young. And then we had a gentleman named A.C. Davis from the West Side. And that's when he got a guy named Rufus Miller and Ronnie Lewis from the West Side. And Mr. Blevins and Mr. Davis got together, and they went out to Black Sox Stadium, and they talked to Mr. Brock, and then they made a deal where the Yankees would play on one Sunday in town, and the Black Sox would play on one Sunday in town. And when we was in town, the Black Sox was out of town, and when we was out of town, the Black Sox would be in town. Mm-hmm. So that's when we started the San Antonio Yankees. Blevins and A.C. Davis got together, and Blevins had me and Glenn Miller, and A.C. Davis had Rufus and Ronnie Lewis, and then they got some of the older players around the area, and they surrounded it around us, and that's how we started the San Antonio Yankees, and that was back in the early 60s.
Okay.
Yes.
And so it sounds like you did some traveling?
Oh, yes. Yes, I guess I played in just about every little town around South Texas and in Mexico. We did a lot of traveling. Yes. Because in town one Sunday, out of town the next Sunday. Yeah.
Do you remember the names of some of the teams that you played?
Yes, Austin area, we played the Austin Greyhounds, Seguin, Seguin Athletics, Crystal City Popeyes. We went to Carrizo Spring. I can't remember what they would call themselves. We went to Luling. I believe most of the time they had a team named the Oilers, New Brownsville, the Kerrville. We went to Kerrville. In Mexico, when we went to Piedras Negras, when you go to Mexico, you're gonna play AA and AAA ball players because they don't want to be beat, and they'll recruit. And when you go to play them, they're gonna be stacked. So all around San Antonio, we went to Spring, Texas, around Houston. We was just all around San Antonio. Austin Greyhounds was the main thing. That's where, it'd be a crowd. I mean to say, on Sundays, when we played in town, out there at Black Sox Stadium, Foster Road and Houston Street, I mean, you'd have to line off the field to keep the fans from coming out on the field. There would be so many people out there on Sundays. I mean, it was a great atmosphere, and I miss them days.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So were there other teams in Mexico that you played beside Piedras Negras?
We played Nueva Laredo. We played in Del Rio. But the main game we played was in Piedras Negras. I'll never forget that game because I don't know if you remember a guy named Ponte Guitar. Ponte Guitar was one of the musicians around San Antonio, and he had a bus. And we used the bus to go to Piedras Negras, Mexico, to play the ball game. We had the team, we had fans on the bus and everything. And while we was over in Piedras Negras, the bridge washed out. It had rained the night before, and then eventually the bridge washed out. And we got to the field, and the water was covered with water. And we said, oh, wow, we are not going to play this game, so we couldn't get back across the border. So we just went on the town. The guys just went on the town and start, well, we drunk a few beers, and everything. And then about an hour, our manager came looking for us. He was running. He said, fellas, where are y'all at? Where are y'all at? We getting ready to play. And we were amazed. We couldn't figure out how we were going to play a game with all that water we saw on the field when we arrived. But those guys from Mexico, they got blowers, they got dump trucks, they got everything. And I mean, they dried that field off. And when we got back to the field to play, well, we was feeling real good because we had drunk a few beers. But we ended up winning one game and losing the other one. But I'll never forget that experience over there in Mexico. Yes.
Now, you mentioned your manager. Who was your manager?
My manager was named Lonnie Blevins,
Okay.
And one thing about Mr. Blevins, I didn't realize how much that he really did for us. And he really cared for us. And every time we go to practice and every time we get ready for a game, he would always have this saying of saying, remember, on this team we have brotherly love, say it's always brotherly love. And I said, golly, brotherly love, yeah. And then I didn't realize, what he really meant until I went to church and I heard my preacher preaching brotherly love. I say, golly, back then we wasn't going to church on Sundays. We was playing ball on Sundays, but I still got that message about having brotherly love, So I mean, he was an amazing man. Him and Mr. A.C. Davis. He devoted a lot of time, and that's what the youngsters need today. They need somebody to devote them that time.
And did they provide equipment, or how did you all get your
Yes,
equipment?
they provided all the equipment. They provided everything. And the fans was amazing. I would never forget this one lady named, we called her Maybell. And every time she'd come to the park on Sunday, she had a big bell. And there's one thing about the fans that the ladies would always give us that motherly love, And they would come out there when we make an error or something. They come out there and they get on us, and our head would go down. And we got that motherly love, and we just try to perform for them. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. And when you traveled, did you have other adventures while you were traveling, other experiences on the road?
Well, even down that one time, when we went to Mexico, me, Rufus Miller, a couple of more of the other ball players, I guess you'd say we like to show out a little bit, So we learned how to juggle. We learned how to juggle. My hands are not as fast as they used to be. But for the youngsters that came to the game, the little young boys and everything, we'd be over at the dugout and we'd be, just juggling, just performing, and they'd come over there and, yeah, Mister, we say, how y'all doing, and we'd sign an autograph for them. We'd get one of the balls and we sign an autograph for them, and we just giving balls to them. And it got so that we had so many kids over there that we gave away all our balls. And when it came time to warm up, Mr. Blevins said, all right, fellas, let's get out there and warm up. But we couldn't because we didn't have no balls to warm. We had gave away all of the balls, you know. So we had to borrow a few balls from the other team so we could warm up. This was in Mexico again. One time we had such a good team that we had quite a few players too. And we had made Mr. Blevins had made a scheduling accident. And we had a game in, I believe it was Schulenburg, and we had a game in Smithville. And we wanted to play both games. We didn't want to just, say, hey, I'm sorry, we can't come here, we can't come there. Mm-hmm. So we had a pretty big team. So we divided the team into two teams, and half of the team went to Schulenburg, half of the team went to, I think it was Smithville. So we met up at the steakhouse in Seguin. I don't know if you remember the old steakhouse in Seguin, but we met up there and we headed off, on our different ways. And after the games was over with, we met back up at the steakhouse. And the team that went to Smithville, they had a great day. They won that game. I think it was 30 to 15 or something like that. And we had went to Schulenburg. And when we got back to the steakhouse after the game, the team from Smithville, they were just bragging about how they had beat that team 30 to 15 and this and that. But we had beat the team in Schulenburg 24 to 2. And we said, wow, that's all y'all scored, Excuse me. So that day, that Sunday, we scored over 50 points, and we made both baseball games. Yes. On that team, we had some players, the late Edwin Ross, his grandson, ended up playing pro football for the New York Giants. We had John Walker, the late Joe Hamilton. He was a pitcher, very good pitcher. In fact, he was such a good pitcher that he didn't want you to make an error behind him, and he was a ex-Golden Gloves boxing champ. And I kind of hated to play behind him because I was scared I was going to make an error, and he was a boxing champ. So once when he was pitching, they hit a ball to me, and I missed it. And they threw the ball back to Joe to get ready to pitch to the next batter. But Joe Hamilton, he had a way of, he wouldn't turn around and say nothing to you, but he would let you know that he wasn't happy with you missing the ball. So he would turn towards the outfield, turn towards the center fielder, and just hold the ball like that. And he'd just hold it, and you'd just be looking, and you just say, come on, Joe, pitch the ball, come on, Joe. So he'd hold the ball facing the outfield. And he'd take it, and he'd throw it in his glove real hard. Then he'd turn around and get on the mound and get ready to pitch. But you knew he was mad at you, and he was the boxing champ. Yeah. That was Joe Hamilton.
What position did you play?
I played third base. I played third base for roughly 20 years, and my partner in crime was Rufus Miller. He played shortstop for 20 years. We played side by side for roughly 20 years. Yeah.
So with the leagues, from what year to what year roughly did you play?
I played in the middle 60s, around 64, up until the middle 80s. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Um, let's see what else I can ask you here. Were your practices also out at Foster Road?
Yes, we practiced out there. Uh, after the Blevins and Mr. Brock from the Black Sox got together, they named that park. It was Black Sox Stadium. They named it Black Sox Yankee Stadium.
Mm.
And we practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, I know a lot of the athletes these days, uh, didn't like to practice, but I couldn't wait. We couldn't wait for Tuesday and Thursday so we could go out there and see the other fellows, to be with the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's what built, teammates, we did the brotherly love, we just love to practice, love to be around each other, and every time we see each other now, which is, it's not many of us left now, but when we see each other, well, hey, that brotherly love is still there.
Wonderful, wonderful. And let's see. Well, I think you kind of talked about this, but
Did I talk too much?
No, not at all. That's why you're here. One of my questions was, what did playing baseball do for you personally? Why did you play? And I think you kind of just spoke to that.
Yes.
And were there special accomplishments or special stats that you had while you were playing?
Well, I played because of the love of the game. I just love to play. I just love the sound of that ball hitting that bat. I just love playing. My accomplishments, I won a lot of trophies. It's a lot of awards, but the one award that I won that it didn't really hit me until I grew up was when I first went out to Comanche Park when I first started playing. When I played with the only black guy on the team.
Mm-hmm.
That year, I did pretty good, and I won the National League batting championship. And my buddy Lawrence Johnson, he won the American League batting championship. But during the awards ceremony, what really hurt me was I got a trophy. It was they gave me a trophy about that big. And I was so happy. I had never won a baseball trophy before. I was so happy. But when I went up there to get the trophy, the guy that gave me the trophy said, you don't really deserve this, don't you? And it didn't dawn on me then. I didn't really, I was just so happy to get that trophy. My first trophy, it didn't dawn on me. But my manager for the team that I played with, he noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he heard it, but he noticed what they had gave me, And my team ended up giving me a trophy about that big for winning it. And down the years, I started thinking about, man, that guy, I don't know why he said that. I couldn't grasp it, But that's when getting older and older, I realized that it was racism out there, and I didn't even recognize it. I didn't know it, I was just so happy to play ball. It didn't really matter, I was just happy to play ball,
Mm-hmm.
But my manager, I got to give it to him, the team, they recognized it, and they gave me a trophy, and I was just so happy. You know? I wish I knew where he was and if he's still living today. You know, I'd like to say, hey, I'm Junior. You know, they used to call me Junior.
Wonderful. So, what other types of organizations have you participated in?
My basketball.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Yeah, my basketball. I had the privilege of playing on the first city championship team that Riley Middle School ever had. You know, it was back in those days. It was they call it the Big Three because it was Riley, which is now Martin Luther King Middle School. They had Dunbar, West Side, and they had Douglas. You know, that was Denver Heights. You know, and we had the first championship that Riley ever had in basketball, and I had the privilege of playing on that team. You know, at Wheatley, I mean, after Riley, I went to Wheatley. Wheatley, I had a so-so seasons. You know, I had a little jumping ability, so my senior year, I ended up playing center, and it was kind of hard with them 6'6" and 6'7", 6'8" guys. You know, for me, I was at 6 feet. Stretching it, I was really 5'11", 6 feet, and it was kind of hard playing. So I averaged roughly around 12 points a game. You know, and then I went to St. Philip's, and I got a chance to play my original position, which was a point guard, and I had a good year, and I ended up averaging 22.8 points a game, and ended up winning a few scholarships. And that's when I ended up going to St. Mary's. You know. But my basketball career, it was, you know, I loved it. I appreciated it, you know, and got to enjoy meeting a lot of people. I met a lot of people by playing sports, you know, baseball and basketball. I met a lot of people. You know, a lot of people didn't know I played baseball. A lot of people didn't know I played basketball. You know, that's it.
Did you ever join any fraternities or any other type of organizations?
No, I didn't join.
Okay. And what was it like to grow up as an African American in San Antonio?
Well, the early days, it wasn't a lot of roses or nothing like that, because you know that we had one black theater that we could go to, and the Majestic downtown, we could go there, but we had to go through the back door, through the alley, and we was up in the third balcony and everything. So, and I never forget the Texas Theater. I mean, that was the theater on Houston Street where, as a young guy, you could pass by there and smell the popcorn and see where they had all the good movies and everything. And you couldn't go in there. The blacks couldn't go in there. So, I mean, that was heartbreaking, and that's when I thought about it, when I heard that when they was going to tear down the Texas Theater, and you had all these historians talking about, no, you can't tear the whole thing down. They wanted to keep the front part of it there, you know, and I was thinking to myself, I say, well, tear it down, you know, because that's not nothing but some bad experiences for me. As a young man passing by there, smelling all that popcorn and everything, and you couldn't go in. I mean, it wasn't a good feeling at all. So as far as that, you know, it was not You know, uh, it wasn't a good experience coming up, but we was all happy because we was all on the east side. You know, everybody just had fun playing together, this and that. But blacks, it was kind of rough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which movie theater that was the Black Theater did you go to?
We went to the Cameo Theater right on Commerce Street, which is now what St. Paul Square. Yeah, the Cameo Theater. Yeah.
What kinds of things would you see there?
Oh, you had to see you'd see Frankenstein and the Wolfman, and the bus. A lot of times we missed the bus, and we would have to walk back to the east side, and you had to walk past the graveyard to get back to the east side. So we was in good shape because we ran past the graveyard.
Nice.
Yes.
Do you have any recollections about the Woolworth on Houston and Alamo?
Yes, I remember the Woolworths. You know, I remember the big donuts, the tamales that you really couldn't uh, get it at the counter. I guess you could say you had to get your food to go. You know, they had, I think it was, was it Cresses? I think it was Cresses where they had a restaurant down in the basement that was very nice, but we couldn't go there. They had a little bar up on the main floor that we could maybe grab something to eat or something there, you know, but it was where that we couldn't eat here, eat there, and that's the way it was.
Mhm.
I just like I just like to say that during that time, the late Reverend Callis,
Mhm.
he was my shop teacher at Riley, you know, and we used to see him walking down Martin Luther King, Nebraska Street. And I wasn't too particular about Reverend Callis then because he gave me a C in shop. And we see him walking by there and we say, look at Mr. Callis. He wants to be Martin Luther King. But we didn't understand. We didn't understand. We was young and we didn't understand, you know. And after the years passed on, I started thinking about it, I said, I was so dumb. I should have been out there marching and walking with him,
Mhm.
but there I was criticizing him, saying, look at this, look at that, and I just like to apologize to him, let him know that, hey, I get the message now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get the message. He was walking for a cause. He was walking for the equal rights and all that. And I just didn't understand back then, and that's why I see at the marches and everything. I see a lot of young kids, the parents bringing out the young kids and everything now, and that is very good because I was sitting on that corner criticizing Reverend Callis, and now these kids have their parents telling them what it was all about, So hey, I'm glad to see that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, did you or your parents or any family members participate in any civil rights activities or organizations?
No, we didn't participate in none of that, really.
Okay. Did you know any of the Sutton family?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay. And let's see. Do you have any stories about the Carver Cultural Center, which used to be the Carver Branch Library and the library auditorium?
No,
No.
I don't.
You were in sports.
Yes, I was in sports. No.
We just like to ask people those general questions. And did you have any special stories about Lincoln Park or Pittman Sullivan Park?
Well, Lincoln Park was more of my area, Pittman Sullivan Park, Denver Heights, but Lincoln Park was down on the east side where I was mainly from, and I could kind of remember the skating ring that they had there. They had a skating ring that was at Lincoln Park. That's where everybody went and skate. I didn't get to skate. I never did learn how to skate, because we didn't have the paved roads, we didn't have the sidewalks, so we didn't have nowhere to skate.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get to go up to Lincoln Park. But I remember they had it up there, and I remember they would have a carnival up there sometimes, But that was a little walk when I was a youngster, a little walk on up there. And Sprigsdale, I don't know if you're familiar with the east side,
Mm-hmm.
but Sprigsdale was a creek then.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to cross the creek. So I mean, we didn't do too much crossing that creek and stuff. So we kind of stayed on the east side of the creek.
Okay. Good. You didn't play any baseball at Lincoln Park or anything like
No,
that?
I didn't start it. They had the Little League up there, and I really started in the Pony League, which was 13, 14, 15. So I didn't play the young. I just played in the neighborhood, and then I said, I want to play on a team. And then that's when I decided to break to integrate Comanche Park with one of the white teams out there.
Mm-hmm. And did you tell me you're a member of SAAACAM?
But
Or did you tell me you're a member of SAAACAM? No. Okay. And are there any other events you experienced or activities you'd like to share with us?
Well, I can't think of nothing right at the time.
Okay. I just want to be sure you've had a chance to tell us about everything that you want us to know about.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, I certainly thank you for your time and for telling us about your experiences.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And we'll end here.
Okay, thank
But
you.
I do want to get some pictures off of your